So let's dig into Freeman and Kleiner's the last American shoe manufacturers. Let's start by thinking about the basic prediction from labor economics. If you want workers to produce more, you should pay them based on that output. It's all about incentives. This is the idea behind piece rate compensation, and it makes a lot of intuitive sense. Workers are paid per unit that they produce rather than per hour worked, so they'll focus on producing more. For example, a garment worker paid per shirt or a farm worker paid per bucket that they pick. Economic theory predicts that piece rate systems should increase productivity by workers because these workers have stronger incentives to exert effort while they're on the job. But here's the puzzle. Over time, many firms have abandoned piece rate systems and moved towards hourly pay or annual salaries. So why would firms give up on a system that increases productivity? Are they dumb? Are they foolish? Are they making a mistake? That's the question that Freeman and Kleiner investigate. So what they do is dig into one of the last remaining U.S. shoe manufacturers in the 1990s. I asked Morris which one over the summer, but he wouldn't tell me which one still. Historically, shoe production used piece rate pay. So workers were paid based on how many shoes they produced, incentivizing output, increasing worker productivity, all that stuff. But later on, the firm switched to a time rate system combined with continuous flow production. So the paper compares these two systems within that firm, the piece rate and the time rate. And the authors combine detailed firm level data and industry level data on other shoe manufacturers. And this allows them to measure productivity, profits, and plant survival. So first, the results confirm the standard prediction that piece rate increases worker productivity. Under piece rate pay, the workers produced more output and productivity increased overall. This is exactly what economic theory and the understanding of incentives would predict. If workers are paid for every additional unit they produce, they have strong reasons to work faster and to work harder. So if productivity were the only thing firms cared about, piece rates should dominate. But that's not what the authors find. So after switching to hourly pay and continuous flow production, productivity from their workers decreased. Not surprising. But the firm's profits actually increased, and that's the puzzle. So the firm became less productive, but they also became more profitable. This seems contradictory at first, but the key insight here is that productivity is not the same thing as profitability. We imagined that they would go hand in hand, but that's not always the case. And the reason it's not the case is that piece rate systems can create several hidden costs. And for this shoe manufacturer, it did create several hidden costs. So workers that are paid per unit often didn't turn in the best quality work. You only have 5 minutes to turn in to put together a homework assignment to turn in versus an hour. The 5-minute one is going to be a lot worse. And that's really what we saw here. So they created a lot more material waste in producing these shoes. There were more quality problems than defective products or defective shoes. There were increased workplace injuries as they were rushing, and it generated more inventory, and that caused issues too. So when the firm switched to continuous flow production, the waste fell, the overall quality actually improved, there were fewer injuries, and production became easier to coordinate. Even though workers produced slightly less per hour, overall costs fell enough to actually increase their profits. The authors also look at the broader shoe industry using census data, and they find that plants with characteristics that were associated with piece rate systems were more likely to exit the industry. And this period saw intense foreign competition, especially from low-wage countries. So firms that reduced costs through new production systems were more likely to survive against this influx of new competition. The key takeaway from this is that firms do not choose to compensate their workers and the systems that they use for that maximize productivity. They choose systems that minimize total production costs. So that includes labor costs, material waste, injury costs, coordination problems, and management costs. So sometimes a system that produces slightly less output per worker can still be more profitable if it reduces those other costs.